Welcome to Silicon Valley Impact, where business insight meets startup innovation, brought to you live from Silicon Valley, California. Please give a warm welcome to your host, Brian Sparks!
Let's get it started. I love it. Brian, with all your new toys over there.
You know why? Do you know? Are you able to put the riddle together at this point?
No, I'm stuck.
Silicon Valley Impact, Brian, has jumped the shark.
We have jumped the shark. I know exactly what you're talking about.
The shark.
Yeah.
Do you know exactly what I'm talking about?
I think I do.
Okay, what do you got? What is it?
We are now officially, with all our episodes, on, drumroll please, we are on... Yes. We are
my fanfare music.
We are now in full swing on YouTube. All our episodes are videoed and broadcast now on YouTube. So go and hit that subscribe button on YouTube under Silicon Valley.
It's been a long journey.
It has.
You and I have been failures long enough.
No more.
No more. Now we are winners.
And we have to give a big shout out to Adelani for hooking that up.
Adelani hooked us up.
Yeah.
She did the deed, and we are grateful, incredibly grateful. So now it's just shameless promotion from here on out.
We're official.
Yeah. Go to YouTube, check us out. You can see how incredibly gorgeous Brian is and all of our beautiful guests. It's a whole another level of experience.
I can't be showing up in shorts anymore.
We started on radio, Brian. Then we transitioned to podcasting, and now we've really hit the big stage.
I do. I can feel it in my soul. I've been validated. We are now.
Yeah, that's all I got. Okay, the show's yours.
Let's let the show begin. All right. I want to welcome everybody to Silicon Valley Impact. I'm your host, Brian Sparks. The purpose of the show is to have honest conversations about what it takes to build great businesses and communities so that you can make an impact within your own. All right, Brian, we've rocked it that time. All right, we're on another level.
My jump the shark bit, took a lot out of me. I almost did. I almost missed it.
You're a little winded.
Yeah. Well, I really had to focus for that. It takes a lot for me.
I love it. All right.
Yeah.
Let's get into it.
But you're doing a great job.
Thank you.
Keep it going.
I need that validation. All right. Let's keep it going. We got 3 great guests today. You will get to meet them in a second. I want to remind everybody again, go hit that subscribe button on Apple, Spotify, and now YouTube. You can check us out.
Please subscribe and follow.
Subscribe and follow. All right. With that being said, let's get into it quickly before I put everyone to sleep. Guy, Blake, Meg, good to see you all.
Good to see you too.
Yeah.
Great being here.
I love it.
We've completely ignored them up to this point.
I know.
This is far more stimulation than I was
I was like, go for it.
I know.
It's kind of the Brian and Brian show so far. We're only
Oh, I didn't even see you guys here. Okay, all right. When did you get here? All right, so definitely want to introduce our audience to these great 3 individuals. Guy, I'm going to have you kick us off, going from my right to my left, because again, Brian, I have to be mindful of those who are watching on YouTube.
That's right.
From my right to my left. Go ahead, Guy, kick it off.
Hey, great being here. What can I say? I've been in Silicon Valley for 7 years now. Actually, yesterday was the anniversary.
Oh, hey, nice. Got through that 7-year itch and you're still here.
I'm still here, despite all attempts to drive me away with taxes and COVID and whatnot. Originally from Israel, spent most of my life and most of my career in Israel. Built a bunch of venture funds. Before that, I was an entrepreneur, but for the past 21 years, I've been mostly on the investing side. And about 10 years ago, it made sense for me to start thinking about a move here. Mecca of venture capital, which I did in 2018. And as of the last 3 years, I've been doing my own fund, kind of raised a little bit of money, started deploying it, and right now helping a team in Europe do more investments worldwide, but specifically here. So I'm kind of the connector between those different communities, the Israeli innovation scene, Europe, where the rest of the team is, and here.
I love it. All right. We're going to, of course, learn a little bit more about who you are deploying to, like what are you focusing on, how you got into that, what the journey is. Want to get your insights on what is a fundable company. Obviously, a lot of our audience are founders and will probably want your insight from your perspective. But I love the fact that you have a global perspective on this, because Silicon Valley Impact is in over 20 countries at this point, and I think you would be a great resource to give us some insight on that. So thanks for being here.
My pleasure.
Love it. Blake, don't do the Hamlet thing.
To be or not to be? That is the question.
Blake doing our sound checks with Hamlet. I love it earlier.
Whether
Thank
it
you.
is nobler in the mind. It is a great soliloquy.
I love it. All right, give a little intro about who you are and what you've been working on.
Well, Guy has been here for 7 years. I've been here for 7 weeks. I just moved to Silicon Valley recently to take part in the AI boom.
Where did you move from?
I was in San Luis Obispo for the last 10 years.
Oh,
yeah.
that's where my daughter is going to school.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh,
That's also where my daughter's going to school.
Oh, wow. Okay,
Yeah.
we should talk about that later,
Yeah,
right?
indeed.
well, and a company that I founded is headquartered there. So I have a child there too.
Okay.
Wow, I hear internships.
Yeah,
Or a next generation podcast or something, right?
exactly.
I feel like if I ever have a child, I should send it to
To San
For
Luis
sure.
Obispo.
Yeah.
After this
The decision
exchange
is
for
made.
sure.
Love the
She
place.
called her future
Future.
child it.
Yeah.
I love the energy in the room. All right. So Blake, talk a little bit about what you've been working off over the last several decades.
Yeah, I'm a second-time founder. I guess kind of the dramatic and fun way to tell my original founder story is that I was an actor and a writer in Hollywood and was not burdened with knowledge or experience. And I bought a $64 how-to book for beginning programmers, and in my living room launched what would ultimately become Mindbody. So the fun leap there is that we went public in 2015 and then sold for close to $2 billion in 2019. Now, there's a long bridge in between those 2 points and a lot of water under that bridge, but that's the long and short of it. And in fact, after I left in 2019, I spent a couple of years writing a book about the whole journey called Mindbody Soul Searching. And I'm excited to be here for the AI boom. I got to be part of the dotcom boom. And so the pattern recognition for what I'm seeing now is just really interesting. Mm-hmm. And I'm honestly, I'm 10 times, it feels 10 times bigger, and I'm 10 times more excited to be here and be a part of this. Because I'll just address something you said before the show, and that is that, our outer developments have just gone sky high, but our inner developments are something that we don't talk about that much.
Oh, don't get me started. And we will get started,
Yeah.
but I love that. So you wrote the book, sold the company, congratulations. And now you're doing your second startup. So we'll talk a little bit about that.
Second one that I talk about. I don't talk about the ones that didn't work.
I love the honesty. I love the transparency.
You're one of
He
those
said he's not
people.
going to talk about it. That's not much honesty there.
I love it. All right. Well, Blake, thank you for being here. Again, looking forward to hearing about that journey. Meg, I've heard a ton of great stuff about what you're working on. Your name is quickly becoming known in Silicon Valley. So give a little intro about what you're working on, because I love the space you're in. I have a personal place in my heart for what you're doing.
So COO and co-founder of a company called Gossip Goblin, which we should all talk about the name later, because it's really like a love-hate reaction that I get. But basically, we create AI agents that help you meet the right people at events. The reason that, and the passion that really lies behind it is actually, so my background's in kind of events, community building, VR, and most recently the gaming space. So my last company was a game studio. I was in LA for about 10 years, had the team there, scaled that team up to about 30 just insanely talented people, it's like founders of Call of Duty, ex-Activision people. Like, it was kind of like the Avengers team, who are all super mission oriented around creating games that created less toxic online social spaces. That was really the mission of why we all came together. And especially with kids spending so much time in online multiplayer games, how are we treating them? How are we thinking of like how they are treating each other in these games, and how are we incentivizing more long-term collaboration and actual community versus just kind of shooting each other in the heads? So that was kind of the ethos around the company in the game studio. And we released early access of that game at GDC about 3 years ago. Everything was like going, it was like a rocket ship, right? Everything was going in the right direction until it wasn't, and everything fell apart. So the gaming industry went through a really big downturn. There was like thousands of layoffs, dozens of studios closed. And it was really, I think it was that during COVID, the gaming industry as a whole got very inflated very fast because everyone was literally trapped in their houses and had nothing else to do but play games. And so when all those numbers started to come down, money just started running away from gaming right at the time when we were going out for our next tranche of funding for the larger go-to-market. So we had to close down the studio. We had to let go of that incredible dream team. And as part of that, the main thing on my mind was, how can I help as many people on my team to find their next job as possible, especially in this job market that's going to be a bloodbath for everybody. So yeah, that was where the beginnings of Gossip Goblin took shape, because I realized how broken and fragmented all the event networking apps and tools are. And I just felt like I could do it better. So.
And so again, as we kind of go down this rabbit hole, I'm going to want to ask you, what is it about building community that strikes you? And of course, that connectivity and that leap from gaming, the gaming community, to in-person community. There's not much difference there. So I know a lot of those who are listening now, they're in marketing, they're in community building. So I'm sure we're going to get a lot of great insight from you. And I want to thank you for being here.
Yeah.
So it's going to be fun. I'm definitely hearing some patterns. And so again, I want you all to kind of bounce off of each other. If you have questions, go ahead, let it rip, just get in there. But Guy, let's start with you. I'm really curious. Talk a little bit about what you're building with your fund and what made you, let's talk a little about leaps for all of us. You leaped from not only overseas to the US, but you leaped from entrepreneur to investor. What had you making those leaps? And go way back, because at some point you were probably working for someone else and he says, I want to create, as we all were at some point, like, no, I want to create. So talk a little bit about what got you into all this. Where did it all begin?
Right. So first, I believe most of us, if not all of us, are creators by heart. I mean, we were born, we start drawing, those funny sketches, and then some people like doing it, or some get good feedback and decide that they want to do more creation, play an instrument, start singing, act, whatever. And some are just drawn to, the more kind of mundane stuff. And I found myself as a very young kid drawn to creating, to building, Lego, and then, music and all that. And it was never a question that I'll end up creating something, for my own kind of benefit or build a business. But I had no idea what it's going to be. So I spent most of my kind of early career tagging along great people, meeting a lot of interesting people. So
you had those role models earlier in life that kind of helped shape that creativity.
Yeah, I'm not even sure they were role models for me, because I was just in the situation. I was in the moment. I was seeing them operate. Some were doing great stuff. Some were doing bad stuff. I had no idea how to tell those apart. So sometimes something that looks awesome ends up being the beginning of the demise of the company, and something that looks completely outrageous and preposterous is actually going to be the growth driver. So eventually, once I got a hang of it, and I was working for a bigger company, it was like, okay, I think I'm ready. And now I'm going to date myself. It was 1998. So everyone was doing a startup. I was not fresh out of college, because it works different in Israel. First you do military service, and then you do your college. And then I worked for a few years. I said, okay, everyone's doing it. I got to do it myself. So I bought a bunch of books, probably similar to the ones that you had. Started, C+, and then C++.
Same year, by the way.
Oh my God. Okay.
So I'm dating you. I was 13.
Now she's not going to want to date either of us. Right? Okay. So I decided that it's going to be my thing. And the only thing I knew how to do other than music at the time was to teach for the equivalent of the SAT in Israel. It's a psychometric test. And then the GMAT. They're computer adaptive tests. And I thought, this is I know something. Now the internet is coming along, and I can scale my ability to teach people through that amazing kind of new platform.
So you would learn it and then quickly turn around and teach it, to embed it.
So, I mean, well, I was a teacher. I got my dismissal from the military like everyone does at 21. And then because I was a smarter kid, I went and taught. I mean, I did the exam and then I taught because that's what people do. It's a very lucrative thing. You get paid a lot as a kid. And then I was like, but why stand in front of a bunch of students when I can do that online? That was my big idea for 1998. The problem was that no one was paying online at the time, getting people to actually, now you have the apps, it's like the economy is very different. At the time you needed to convince people that it's safe to give you their credit card details over a web connection, almost 30 years ago. Yeah. So it took me a while to figure out that I was not very good at it, at convincing people to pay. So we had to figure out a business model, went through all the, the hoops and the loops of 99, then 2000, the first big crisis. And then I had to figure out the way out of it. So we ended up selling that company for scrap, basically, it wasn't worth much, but I had an exit. And I joined another team that ended up raising money from Sequoia. Now it's a household name. At the time, I had no idea. I mean, just another name. And they invested in us and we ended up being acquired very soon afterwards. So, hey, I'm a
exit number 2.
Exactly. It's not even mine, but who cares? Nobody knows shit. So it's 2004 before we know it. And I'm already, with 2 exits, I'm under 30 and I have no idea what I want to do. So that's how my idea for creating stuff became like a dead end because I ran out of ideas. And the only good idea I had was a very bad exit. So I'm going to park here unless you want me to keep talking. But that's the moment where I made the first leap or the first shift, right? Yeah. It's because what I thought I was very good at is ideation and figuring out what I wanted to do and building it was not leading me anywhere anymore.
You kind of you hit a wall and then the leap came, because that was the original question. I'm going to obviously look to all of you to chime in on this, and so I'm seeing the simple beginnings, right? I mean, you did your military time, which is required and honorable, and then you were able to release your creativity. Blake, I'm curious with you, same time frame, kind of in the 90s.
Exactly, same time frame.
Yeah, you came up with Mindbody. Did you have in the beginning any inclination that this would turn into a $2 billion company?
You know what's funny? I was accused at the time of having visions of grandeur by someone, and I said, how would I know the difference? And the difference is whether or not it actually works.
Yeah,
I think.
hindsight, right? Yeah.
But at the time, yes and no. At the very, very beginning, I had no idea. Like I said, I wasn't burdened with knowledge or experience. I wasn't one of those entrepreneurs that sat down, how can I create the next unicorn? I wanted to be an actor and a writer. So I was just biding my time until I became a big star, or a successful screenwriter. I'm still biting that time. Yeah. But, so for me, as wild as this sounds, it was actually a spiritual calling for me. And it was something that I felt that I was supposed to do, and not that I really wanted to do. In fact, there was a wrestling match going on in my own mind where it was sort of like the angel and devil on each shoulder. And one of them was trying to convince me that this was a distraction, that I really needed to brush up my screenplay. I needed to get new headshots, seek a new agent, et cetera, et cetera. But it was almost as if I heard like a voice tell me, in 4 parts, shut up, sit down, start making software, and don't ask where it's going. That was, I literally felt that was like instructions that I was given. And I had gone through a personal and kind of spiritual crisis and had, adopted the mantra, show me the way and I will follow. So I had been so humbled by feeling like such a failure in my life that it cracked me open to the point where I said, show me the way and I will follow. So when this thing showed up, which it pulled me in. It chose me. I didn't choose it. Someone from my acting studio in Hollywood came to me and said, hey, will you help us computerize the Pilates studio that I'm running. Just help us find software and buy computers and show us how to use them. So I went looking and nothing existed. Of course, I couldn't even Google it because Sergey and Larry were up here launching Google it about this. So you Yahoo'd it, or you AltaVista'd it, or you AOL'd it.
Ask Jeeves.
I was going to say,
I asked Jeeves, and the butler.
You dated yourself.
The butler came back empty-handed.
Card catalog.
Yeah, exactly. But the long and short of it was nothing existed. And so that's when I went to the bookstore in Studio City and found this book, luckily a really good book called the Microsoft Access 97 Bible. And I love that it had Bible in the title because it was sort of a religious experience. And so, yeah, it was very different for me.
no, that wasn't a signal. I was just
I thought, see, Brian said if I give you
was
this
in
look,
tune with me.
We'll let you know.
I was just
he said,
adjusting
if
my
I
mic.
give you this look, stop talking. And I thought he gave me
He
the
obeyed
look,
too.
so-
Like he was like, okay, I'm done.
Super good, yeah.
That's it.
What just happened there? Those of you on YouTube
That's
can
great.
check
Though.
out what just
That's
happened.
your acting and improv
Thank
training
you.
right
Yes,
there.
yes,
You're
yes.
listening. You're reacting.
To tie it into a VC who's creative, I love that because one thing now I am burdened with knowledge and experience. You know, I never would have started Mindbody if I had known that it was going to take as long as it took and be the slog that it was going to be to build it. You know, I thought that it would take 6 months. I thought it was like a glorified electronic phone book, and it would take 6 months. I'd be done. I would just stamp out CDs in those days and sell software. And my joke now is I was only off by infinity. You know, the software's never done. It just ships. And so having said that, yeah, at the very beginning, I had no idea where it was going. Before too long, I did get the feeling this is going to be a big thing. In fact, when
What was the moment though? Because I mean, I can really respect that. Will Smith said that, you know, it takes a little bit of delusion to be great,
for sure,
and when was
and
that?
a lot of delusion to be really great.
Yeah. So when was that moment? You're like, holy smokes, there's traction. This is going to go.
It was such
beyond.
It was really such a slow roll that it's hard to pick a moment. But there was a CD-ROM in the back of that book, and it had a sample veterinary clinic database on it. I copied that over to my computer and started changing field names. So just to give you an idea, I thought, wow, if this ever becomes a big thing, I could maybe get sued for copyright infringement. So I better change the names of these fields just in case. So that showed you that even before, you know, when I had one client, that I was thinking this could turn into something really big. But yeah, it was a bit of a slow roll. Almost everybody I showed the software at the beginning bought it, and that was meaningful. Probably wasn't later until having a co-founder and a team and really seeing the flywheel start to turn and the engine start to run that it felt like, wow, I've really got something here.
And then the journey became, we're going to talk a little bit about your book and what you really discovered. And already in the beginning, you know, I think, Guy, you can attest to this. Oftentimes when you're looking for founder fit, for that right founder to invest in, oftentimes you look for that background story that is driving this person. Do you have an axe to grind? Is there some sort of characteristic within you that is going to propel you through the hard times? Because this is deeper than most of us on the average.
For sure. That's the art, by the way, of investing, as opposed to the science of investing, which there's none. It's all about people, like 99.9% people.
Yeah.
And within that, I'd say the majority is the journey, what got them there and what got them, you know, to doing what they're doing right now.
Yeah. So Meg, talk a little bit about your journey, because this is your second startup. You went from the gaming, which I'm interested in. For some reason, I've gotten a couple questions this week about, do I have anybody in the gaming side? Well, now I can say I do.
Yeah.
Go to Meg.
Now we have a friend in the gaming.
Yes, I do. I have a friend. But talk a little bit about Gossip Goblin and kind of now your journey into that, because you said it's not what you think it is, and talk a little about the name, because you said there's something there.
Yeah. So yeah, I touched on it a little bit in the intro, right? Of all of a sudden we let go of this incredible team, trying to figure out how we can help them network, how they can make connections, start going to a lot of different networking events with them, and realize, one, a lot of people really suck at networking. It's kind of an art that I didn't realize, especially a lot of engineers. Sorry to the engineers, but it's a fact.
We love the engineers.
You know, they walk into the room. They're not in the business of doing that on a day-to-day basis. They're usually behind the computer. And then also just how these tools are sucking so much of people's time for very little ROI, right? It's like scrolling through hundreds of people's profiles. You have to download a new event for every single event you go to. The event apps don't speak to each other. Like, it just makes so little sense that when I saw that, and I saw a bunch of our team using those to try to make connections, like at GDC, and it's not cheap to go to GDC, right? You're paying like $400 for a hotel room. You're paying for flights. You're paying for the tickets to GDC. And I see how little they're actually kind of see come from all of those opportunities. It really just drove me. I had like anger, I think. I think that's been a big thing in kind of my career and life, is like anger has kind of like, I've seen a problem that's made me really angry and just feel like it's not serving people. And then I've kind of wanted to solve it or make it better. So I think that was kind of the leap there for me. And especially with everything that was happening with AI, I was like, why don't we have like an AI agent who is your personal sidekick, who remembers you across every single event you go to, who can optimize for all the connections you're making. So let's say I meet you, Brian, at an event.
Yeah,
and
give me the
yes,
customer experience. I love
he
this.
is like the best guy. Like, I love meeting
keep going.
him.
Keep going.
He has this great space in Oakland called Stack Space, and we can partner on all these events. This was a great intro, right? And then my AI is going to remember that. Versus I could meet someone like Bob and I can tell my AI like, hey, that was actually not a good intro because they're not working. They're not my ICP, right? They're not doing what I'm interested in. So then the AI continuously optimizes for the right kind of intros for you and talks to everybody at those events to basically do all the grunt work in the background. And that was really the main kind of thesis that we started with. And then we were like, well, how can we make this as frictionless as possible and feel more like when a friend makes a really good intro for you. So we're completely appless, right? So the user experience is you sign up for an event like on a Luma event that we all go to. And then there's just a little checkbox that you can put that says, hey, I want to network with Gossip Goblin, meet the right people at this event.
So much like, what are some of the apps now that record the Zoom? You just kind of opt in and it starts to engage with where you're going.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so when we actually very first started, we would have, so once you press that button and you register for the event, you would get a call from Gobby Goblin, who's our chief goblin officer, who makes all the connections for everybody. And she has just a conversation with you, right? Of like, hey, so you're going to this event, who do you want to meet? And there's kind of like narrative branches that form depending on who you are, and conversation is the same.
Why is there a goblin as your headmistress? You can't just blow past that.
Clippy for events.
Yeah, so the goblin came from, honestly, I think maybe it's my like more gaming background. I'm not entirely sure what it was, but I just kind of imagined this goblin who's kind of like lurking around all the events, hearing everything that's going on, and then like using that gossip for good to help people make connections.
Sounds like you just described Brian.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't want to say anything, but
You look like a goblin.
I'm like, wait a minute, I know that guy.
Well, I'm used to,
right.
I'm used to troll, but I mean, hey, Goblin is good.
Yeah, and I wanted it to be fun. Like, I feel like so many of these network and event apps are names that you never remember. You know, it's like, I don't know, Chatty Cathy, or I don't know, some name that is just like gonna leave your brain in 10 seconds. So I was really interested in like, how can the name also elicit fun and smiles from people who are connecting at the event? And I've seen it multiple times where I see people, you know, they don't know who I am. I'm kind of like undercover at the event watching people, and they're like, oh, my goblin recommended I meet you. And they just smile, right? It's a very small detail. Yeah. But it's just the emotion of using the app is fun. Like, why does everything have to be?
So say for example, I'm on Luma and I'm going to go to an event in Oakland.
Thursday night. Yeah. Called Lean AI Startup. Yeah. Run by the Agentic.
That one. Yes. You've been looking at Luma. Yes. So I'm going to this event. I click it. My little goblin is activated.
Yes.
I input who I want to meet, or am I given options? And then it communicates with me through my app, and then I'm there. So then I'm there. I got all these questions.
Yeah. So
I'm there, and do I do a little breakdown? So do I diary like, it's my gossip moment. Like, this person was really interesting, but yet they smelled funny or something. Avoid that next time.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So basically, in the process right now, because we change it almost every 2 weeks a little bit, because we're just trying, right now we're in the phase of like get as much user feedback as humanly possible, change different inputs and see what happens, which is a fun stage to be in. And so right now when you sign up on Luma, we ask for your phone number on the Luma form, which auto-populates, and your LinkedIn. So a lot of Luma events already ask for those two things.
Yeah.
So we already have a profile that we've created for you based on your LinkedIn. So you get a text from Gabi saying like, hey Brian, I saw you have Silicon Valley Impact podcast. Are you looking for people to be on the podcast at the event? Like, and then digs into the details in the text flow.
Okay.
That takes about like 5 minutes. So it's a 5 minute, you can come back to the text. It's kind of like the texting has become probably the most popular feature. I would say 90% of people text over the phone call because they can do it more asynchronously.
Yeah.
Then she goes, finds exactly who you want, and then sends you an email intro to that person before the event begins. So she, just like a friend when they intro you via email, right? It's like, hey, you should meet Brian because he can do XYZ for you. You can do this for him. You should connect at the event. And then when you get to the event, Gabi will send you a text saying like, hey, Gobin or Meg just checked in at the event. Make sure to meet up with her.
Okay, I'll try not to stand behind the bush stalking you as you come through the door.
Yeah.
So let's pause. Soundtrack to my life, Brian. Thank you so much. All right, so real quick, I know we're at the 30-minute mark. Definitely want to take a break. Guy, I want to ask you really quick, or Meg, let me finish up with you. Are you currently raising, or like where are you in terms of your trajectory with your startup?
Yeah, so not raising currently. We're really just focused on the product, getting more event partners to build alongside. If we raise, it probably wouldn't be till like later in the fall. But yeah, right now, it's like the last company we raised a lot and we made a lot of mistakes in the kinds of partners we brought on. And especially with this company, because we're such a leaner team and company than the last one, right? And so it's like when we think about funding, it's really more strategic. How can it help us grow when we're ready to?
Okay.
So yeah.
So I definitely want to talk to you more about that because I want to use you for my events. But when we come back from our break, we're going to talk with Guy about what does a fundable company look like. We're going to ask Blake about his book because that's really the bulk of your journey, and then of course a little bit more of what you're working on now. I believe it's still in stealth, but we'll talk about when we come back. And then Megan, I want to double down on you in building community because you know what it's like to build community online, and now you're doing it offline, which I think is really fascinating. So we'll tackle those questions when we come back.
There's the rub.
Did you get that part?
All right, we're back. We're back, and let's get that clock rolling, Brian, because we got a lot of ground to cover. And during the break, I asked the question. Well, first off, let me say this. I love the energy of this group because we're just chatting away at random things. We all have kind of this spiritual connection. We have a big picture. We love people. And during the break, I asked you guys all, what would be a big win today? And just a lot of great stuff started coming out. So
Meg suggested we solve the mysteries of the universe.
Yeah, she went way out, and I love that.
I think that, we put another few hours in here and we could make that happen.
Yeah, or maybe it's just in one line and just blows your mind.
Oh, wow, you just set me up and I can't actually produce. Sorry. I can't. I don't have it.
Blew my mind.
There it is.
All right. Wisdom from the past.
All right, I'm getting out of here.
All right, so Guy, again, and Blake and Meg, the question at the break, I usually ask this during the show, and I'll ask it during the show now. What would be a big win for you today? You start talking about what you're working on, so we'll go right down the line. What would be a big win for you today?
Right. So I haven't said much about my investment, let's say, criteria or the method, which is kind of different from how typical VCs typically operate. We can talk about that, but as I said, it's all about people. So to me and for me, meeting people that care about what I do in the sense that they want to get my financing, because there's a platform, there's money, has to be the right fit, but definitely.
When you say the platform, what do you mean by that?
Okay, so I've got to explain this. So either you park your question to the others, or we can cover it later.
Oh, okay, I got it. We'll come back to that.
Yeah,
so
it's going to be a longer
summarize it, and we come back to it.
So I have both an earlier stage platform, and I'm part of a later stage firm, so we can talk about what the differences would be. And everything is on LinkedIn as well. So people are curious.
But I like what you said earlier. Is right now you're looking to two things. One, you love people, and you want to connect with great people. So at the end, we'll ask, you, how people can connect with you. Number 2, you're looking to deploy, and yet you need to make sure that people fit in the right bucket, and they can go to your website for that. They can go to LinkedIn. It's all out there. But we'll come back to this idea about people, because we were asking earlier about founder fit, and you kind of lit up about how important that is.
Right. And one last thing, it's Silicon Valley. So there are a lot of investors out there. I could never meet enough VCs. And, we don't have a goblin for VC meetings. Ooh. And I was trying to think whether that would work with a more serious, I'm headed out. I'm actually headed out to a Tales of the Cocktail conference right now in, don't ask me why, in New Orleans. That's my next thing tomorrow. But the goblin could actually work pretty well. But with alcohol, you don't actually need a goblin. Just shut people up.
Sounds like
no. But the next one is Black Hat. So Black Hat is very kind of geeky, cybery. VCs are very hard to find and get a meeting with. Yeah. So I was trying to think whether
sounds like a premium level here.
Exactly, but would they like a goblin? It's a question. I'm not sure. I mean, we should have a discussion about that.
Yeah, definitely.
But meeting VCs that want to co-invest or introduce their portfolio companies to me or want to invest in my portfolio, that's always a good thing to have.
Okay, love it. Blake,
can I? I just want to give a quick compliment to Guy, because I love where he's coming from. I've met with a few investors, you might imagine.
Have you?
I have, yeah. And one of the things that sometimes is frustrating is what I feel is a lack of curiosity or a lack of imagination or a lack of sort of wanting to dig down deeper. There's been several times where I'll meet with investors and they make a lot of statements, but they don't ask a lot of questions almost right off the bat. And I personally think that's probably what separates an okay or a safe investor from maybe a potentially great investor, to have that curiosity to know about the people and to really dig down. You can always say no. That's what's always interesting to me about an investor that comes in with almost like a no shield up. Like, you can say no at the last possible minute, you might as well say yes.
But I think naturally you would elicit that good quality. There's a lot of startups that will come in and just talk about feature rather than their connection to people. And what I mean by that is, like, if you're not
or even miss their connection to you as a human being.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they'll just blow through all the proper introductions.
Right. You're just money. It's feature.
You're a piece of meat, right? And it's so. But you give curiosity and probably get it in return, because I would think that I've heard a ton of startups pitch, if they miss that pain point and they don't dig down into who's hurting behind this, and you can feel it, then I don't think you're going to elicit that curiosity. You're going to get it from me. You'd probably get it from you and you. But if they're just like, I need money, here's the feature, here's the product, blah, 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 and it's just all in the head, I don't think you're going to elicit that.
I agree. And listen, like, that magic spark, that thing that works is elusive. We were lucky enough to be, I think, 1 in a million, literally, or something like that with Mindbody. It's rare. And so I think if you're somebody who is really sharp and really with it, you want to look for that elusive spark. Maybe it's in the personality, maybe it's in their background,
or their last name.
Maybe it's in the product. Yes, but the last name, I missed that reference.
Sparks.
Oh,
right.
The spark is in your last name.
Maybe it's in the spark.
Doesn't that sound for that? I mean,
it's wah wah. That's
How
can I impact the world with this?
Completely subconscious on my part, yes. But it's true. I mean, that magic spark is so rare and interesting. And so I think that's why, if you are an investor, like, be curious, be inquisitive, be open. Don't come in making a bunch of statements and trying to teach. First of all, you may not even know who you're talking to and what they really need to learn. So why are you positioning yourself as some sort of an authority? Come in curious, come in inquisitive, come in with a yes. Like I said, you could always say no until the last possible minute. But when you come in with a no, I just think you block a lot of potential opportunities. So that was a segue, just because I love hearing investors talk about being creative and talk about being people.
Yeah. No. That was so good. Like, again, we're going to come back a little bit about the book, because I think that's my win. I want to learn about the book. I want to learn from all of you. Meg, definitely want to learn from you. You want to solve the universe's problems. So would be a big win for you today.
I think a big win would, if I could just convince one big conference or event organizer, how important it is to think about how your attendees are connecting, then that's already like a huge win. Because a lot of
Samara Jaffe, if you're listening, James Gee, if you're listening,
Growth Factory, if you're listening.
I just did an event with James last week.
With James G?
Yeah. He was great. Because a lot of event organizers, and I've been in that position before, I've organized a lot of events. They think about what's the food, who are the speakers, it's content. What am I serving into people, not how are people actually using the space to make connections. And when you actually talk to people about why an event was impactful or what is the best event you went to, and you ask them why, it's because of the people they met. They never say like, oh, there was this amazing, I don't know, person who was speaking that I never spoke to, right? It's always like, oh, I met this person who's going to change XYZ in the trajectory of my life. People really go to events. I would say 80% of the people I've talked to and done user interviews with is someone who can change their life in some meaningful way. So having event organizers think more about whether it's using us, Gossip Goblin, or using some other service or thinking about it, putting that into their heads and kind of spreading that idea would be a big
So
one
let's
for me.
let's step into what I talked about before the break. Each one of you have a bucket that I'm really curious about. You have experience building community online. You're now looking to build it, in person. What is the biggest difference in building, from your experience, an online community and in-person community? What is the common thread? There's got to be a common thread, or maybe there's something that's completely different that doesn't work in one and the other.
Yeah. So I started building community in person. Then I went to online, now back to like this in-person kind of online hybrid to some extent. And I think the common thread is that people need a game that catalyzes connection, like something that brings the people together. And then you need to give them the space to kind of cement those relationships.
But what are some of those things that do that? Is it a common mission? Is it a common problem? Is it a common joy of food? Is it a common education? Or it could be all of those things or none of those things. Where does that kind of lie?
I think there's a wide variety, but like, let's say just with an event, right, that you're creating, right? It's almost like the speakers and the panelists, if you think of them kind of like the game that all the users are coming around to play. And then how are you catalyzing like the conversation that gets people to share ideas and start to build together in some way? Because the deepest connections really come from when people are building or creating together. So how do you get people to do that even in like a micro way when they're first meeting? How are they, even like something as simple as creating, like taking a selfie and putting a post on LinkedIn is a small micro game where you're creating together, you're putting something out there together. It's like all these tiny interactions that we don't really think of are all building blocks, I think, in the connection.
So let me say this. So when I collaborate, I make sure to, or throwing an event, to create a space where people can land to create their own experience that then integrates with the bigger experience. Is that what I'm hearing you say?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you have to really kind of let go and trust those who you are partnering with or building a community with to take their best and build within for that sense of belonging. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah.
Oh, I love that.
I like where you're going with this, Meg, because I'm an extrovert, but I'm also a gifted unitasker. So
what is unitasker?
Like I'm good at doing one thing at a time, as opposed to multitasker.
I'm good at napping at once. That's better.
But when I go to and I love meeting people and talking to people, but it's overwhelming for me when I go to an event. Usually I just kind of default to whoever reaches out to me. I'm not proactive about it just because it's so overwhelming. So I like where you're going. I already have a couple feature function ideas for you.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, and we can only hold so many, especially an event where there's hundreds of people and we're having all of these 5-minute conversations. By the end of the 2 hours, you forgot the first person you're even speaking to.
I think it would be cool if you guys had a thing for like brain dominance type or personality type. Because as you hit on before, like the engineer is not necessarily the extrovert. Yeah. So knowing how to approach somebody and what their communication style is and how to connect might be.
Are you saying kind of like a personality test within to kind of put people in buckets?
Or maybe self-identified. If I approach somebody, it's just handy to know, is this person who's an introvert and they're an engineer versus an extrovert? Yeah, personality type, brain dominance. I love the Herman brain dominance model, where there's people, there's visionaries, and then there's the who, what people. So engineers and accountants tend to be the who and the what.
Yep.
HR people tend to be the people, the who, and then the visionaries tend to be the why, the big thinkers. And it can sometimes be really challenging to bridge the gap in conversation between those types.
Yeah, and it's especially with how we're building, like from the conversational data that we're getting, we can infer different kinds of like MBTI depending upon how they're answering questions or what they're looking for. Especially the more times that we have recurring users come back, we can start to form those personas attached to them. So it's interesting.
Then you should have a secret ballot who you voted for, so you can see if you really want to connect with that person. No, I'm kidding.
I know we're in that creative space. When you hear you get a great idea, you want to create with them. But I think the thread here with all of us is in the early stages of Mindbody, was the mission and what you were creating, building space for others to feel like, how did you scale with people going to market? And then what does that look like from an investor's perspective with how important is the mission? But did you see that earlier in what you were creating?
I did. Like I said, it was sort of a divine calling at the beginning. But once I got into it, what happened was I fell in love with our clients. Because the people that are running these boutique fitness and wellness studios are some of the greatest people on the planet. They dedicate their lives to making other people's lives better. And very few of them get rich doing it. It's mostly a labor of love. And they create community in their communities. And so I really fell in love with them, and I really wanted to forward their mission, And I always knew that like we pretended that we were cool, but we weren't really cool. Our customers were cool. We were just a technology company. We were cool as far as technology companies go, but our customers were really the cool ones. You go to a yoga class, you go to a spinning class or CrossFit or any of these number of things, like there's really interesting things going on there. People are getting healthier, they're getting happier, they're better in their lives, their relationships, their communities. So I felt like in a way we were literally helping to make the world a better place, and that was a great feeling. So I was all about supporting that. I wanted to create, at a certain point, I really wanted to shift Mindbody and become more of like a social network built around the theme of health and wellness. We had, 50, 60,000 customers and millions of their customers on the platform at one time. Internally, I was saying, guys, this is the reverse field of dreams. They've already come. We just need to build it, because we had this amazing transactional network, but we weren't meeting people where they were, which is the social network, the social fabric. So anyway, I don't know if that answered your question, Brian, but I loved that about our customers. And I always felt like our job is for them to stand on our shoulders and to empower those connections, empower that community. And before I left, I launched what I called Mindbody One, which was a community of our customers. And they supported each other and they helped each other. And it would almost bring tears to your eyes seeing the connections that would happen. I'm confident that there are some great friendships that remain today through Mindbody One. And when COVID hit, guess where everybody went? Mindbody One. They all connected with each other. They helped share loan information and banking information. One former client told me that maybe 100 businesses were saved as a result of that community, because they supported each other. So
Guy, I want to kind of lean to you. We're talking a little bit about, how important building upon a mission, creating space, building community. When you're looking at a fundable company, number one, talk about what it is top of mind for you and what you look for. But is the founder's capacity to create community and have a mission beyond themselves something you look for in context of this conversation?
For sure. In general, looking outside and seeing the problem, seeing a challenge and trying to solve it using technology or business innovation doesn't necessarily have to be technology. I think both people here are doing something with AI where most of the technology is actually outside of the company. It's the idea, it's the mission, it's identifying a problem in the world that you want to fix. And I think that's the common denominator to most great startups. It's very rare to find a startup that's just started from great technology looking for, an application. It does happen occasionally. And then, by the way, the people side is just, are they able to build that kind of very deep, very diverse, very different technology? But again, that wouldn't necessarily be my focus as a VC.
Yeah. What is your focus? If we're kind of quickly sharing with those who are listening what you are looking for as they see your bio on LinkedIn and on now our YouTube channel, what startups are you looking for?
Right. So personally, I built a platform that actually leverages repeat founder backed companies, or leverages repeat founders network. When you see someone like a younger, better version of yourself, and you pull out your checkbook and you write a check, that's where I want to be. Yeah. So, I mean, that would be my typical small check, would be alongside a great repeat founder who identifies that spark, that's something. Oh, there's no sound.
Brian's looking at the YouTube channel.
I'll set you up better next time. So that's one model. And obviously, you know, I'm open to meeting great people through that. And I've met a bunch of great entrepreneurs who have not yet received a check from a repeat founder, but will. So sometimes I actually bring that deal flow to my fellow repeat founders. So that's one thing. And that platform is pretty wide open in terms of the types of companies I invest in. They're all solving real problems for real people. So I have one that actually built my own studio. I'm a musician, but I needed an office, and I needed it built quickly and something that would look awesome. And they built it because they have a platform for very fast building or construction of those types of, you know.
So I just heard something in a way I've never heard before. I've done a ton of networking, but what I just heard you say is you're a VC that had a problem.
Yeah.
It's almost like, what problem are you solving? Maybe if you go up to...
That's a bad thing, by the way. We should not be trying to solve our own problems for our startups.
That's off?
No.
Okay, all right.
No, in general,
Straight on that.
VCs are not cool. You know, they think they're cool, but it's the entrepreneurs who are cool, right?
No, I agree with you.
Yeah. So, you know, we don't have problems. No, honestly, I did meet a bunch of people who are trying to invest in things that would help or solve their own problems. I don't necessarily think that's a good investment thesis.
Too close.
Yeah, because we don't represent a large enough facet of, the humanity. But specifically these guys, they solve a real problem, and I can see that scale and solve a bigger problem in the world, which is construction. Look at LA right now. You know, so many people without homes. Who's going to build those homes? How long is it going to take? Who's going to pay for it? So these guys actually get those construction projects done very quickly.
At this moment, I would like to take a commercial pause to amplify Bearing Capital, focusing on construction. No, I'm just kidding. Go ahead. Friend of ours.
Yeah, I was going to plug my own portfolio company, but you can look up my portfolio online. No, what I'm saying is this is like the left side or the right side of where I invest. Yeah. And it goes all the way to infrastructure for AI, right? So I cover a very wide gamut because I don't care.
Yeah.
And I typically don't understand the technology or the depth of the intricate parts of how they build it. Mm-hmm. And it's not like I don't care. I really care, and I'm curious, but I don't have enough time. So I meet people. I hear about people from other people. They work with them. They served with them, whatever. And this is how I invest. That's my early stage stuff. Later stage, I joined a platform that is a European platform. They're in Portugal, which is a great place. I recommend visiting, if not moving. It's a great place. And they're an amazing team of people who built a fund and are funding great companies, but they don't have a lot of access to US-based companies. So I'm like that part of the brain, or that arm of the organization that actually helps find great startups here. And these would be actually scale-ups, right? Companies that have revenue, that want to scale to the next level. And this is where my 21 years of experience in scaling companies comes into play as well. And that's it. I'm not going to...
I love it. Okay.
Do a shameless plug.
That was perfectly said. So Blake, I want to, before we're getting close to the back end of the program right now, but I definitely want to ask you about your book. Yeah. Talk a little bit about the inspiration behind that. You definitely probably did a lot of soul searching through your journey, personally, professionally. What are some high level insights that you learned from this journey? And of course, then share where we can all get your book.
Well, the name of the book is Mindbody Soul Searching. So you nailed it with soul searching. Yeah, it's actually in the editing process right now. So unfortunately, it's not available yet.
Well, good. When it is available, we can hang it on our
absolutely
backdrop here.
I wrote a 400-page book, and I don't think anyone wants to read that. So
come on.
Yeah, we're editing that
You have
down.
4 people here who want to read it. That's ignoring the people over there.
Brian wants to watch it on YouTube, but go ahead. Sorry, another plug.
The reason it's called Mindbody Soul Searching is, to me, it's always been primarily about my spiritual journey and my spiritual evolution. And, you know, some of the story of how the company was started sort of, you know, shifted and changed a little bit over the years. I was gone from the company for a period of time. And so part of it was just wanting to set the record straight. Partially, I wanted people to know that it was a spiritual calling at the beginning, that I felt called into this thing, you know, and I wanted to, if anything, maybe try to give a positive message to entrepreneurs, especially young entrepreneurs, you know, to really seek to listen to that still small voice, you know, and developing ourselves as individuals and as spiritual beings, I think is the most important thing that we can do. And it can dovetail with starting a unicorn, you know, at least there's one story, you know, that somebody followed that still small voice and it led into something amazing. I also talk a lot about failures, frankly, you know, I mean, I have probably failed much more than I've succeeded in my life, unfortunately. And I'm not, you know, sad about that. I don't feel victimized by that. I feel like I've learned and grown through that. So if anything, my successes have made me more confident and my failures have made me more humble, truly humble, you know. And it's one of the things I worry about when I see the people that are leading the AI revolution right now, because I think humility is one of the requirements to lead humanity into this next epoch. Because if we create this technology and unfold this technology with the same consciousness that we unfolded the last epoch of this technology, I think there's a really good chance that we're doomed. So we have to evolve ourselves. And we, you know, people that come from a place of humility, in my opinion, should be running these companies. Because unless you've actually been on your knees, literally brought to your knees and had that moment, like a lot of us had, where we weren't even sure whether or not we wanted to go another day or if we could go another day. Until you've been there, I think it's really difficult to relate to the average person out there that's struggling, that's having a hard time getting by in all of the dimensions of wellness in their life. Not just physical, but mental, spiritual, social, vocational, financial, you know, managerial, like who's managing my life. That's what these are the things I'm addressing with my new startup. But I think it's incumbent upon us to evolve ourselves as a species, or we're more than likely going to create a technology that's going to wipe us out. I wrote a white paper on this. We already
created it. It's just, you know, we're enabling you to do it right now. Yeah.
Yes, and I don't think it's too late, because remember, when people say, "Oh, AI can't do this or can't do that," I'm like, dude, we're on the flip phone version of AI right now. Are you kidding me? Yeah. You know, Grok 4 just came out and blew my mind again last week. It's like this stuff will all be commoditized in a year or two. All of the things we think are amazing now. And then it comes to, what are we going to use it for? Last thing, I wrote a white paper called The Future of Humanity and Our Marriage to Superhuman Intelligence. And what I posit in there is that unless we evolve our own consciousness as a species, we will be incapable of creating a superhuman intelligence that won't seek to, at some point, harm or destroy us.
That's so deep. And you said something about, that's the rabbit hole. We just went down there. Yeah. But you said something about, you know, there's just moments where we're brought to our knees and we learn humility. And I heard Ray Dalio speak years ago, and I never forgot it. He said the best qualities of a founder are that they're hungry, humble, and smart. And that humble piece has just always stuck with me. In fact, I was at Innovate yesterday. It's an Italian accelerator in San Francisco. And there was a guy there who said, what if I feel like I'm not making an impact, but I'm just doing what I'm supposed to be doing? And instantly I knew he got it, because there's this pull where it's like, I'm just doing what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm not going after this big bang moment where I want to shake the universe. I want to be a disruptor. There's no ego sign. He was just like, I'm doing the one thing I'm called for. So that, I think, is a big differentiator. And
if you think money or success or notoriety are going to make you any happier or bring you any more peace of mind, take a look around, brother.
Good stuff. I wish we had another hour, maybe another time. Meg, talk a little bit about what you're working on. What's next for you?
Yeah. So basically, you know, we only started about 5 months ago, launched the MVP, started working with event partners, trying to get as much user feedback as possible, and really just kind of like SF Luma events. Our next steps are to go after a lot bigger conferences that we're in the process of kind of like finalizing some of those for the fall. I don't know if I can talk about any of them openly yet, but like 10,000 people conferences, 60,000 people conferences. And that's our next big milestone, is like show how we can add as much value within those longer kind of like week-long event settings.
Are you coming to Stack on Monday?
Yes.
Okay. There's someone there I want to introduce you to.
Yeah,
Okay.
let's do it.
All right.
That sounds great.
So before we sign off, how can people connect with you?
You can email me at meg@unproductive.ai.
You got all the great names. I love it. Gossip Goblin, Unproductive.
Everything just has to kind of bring me joy.
It's,
And then,
it's counterintuitive. I love it.
Or connect with me on LinkedIn as well, Meg McWilliams. You can easily find me.
Okay. All right, Blake, how can people connect with you?
I'm pretty easy to find. BlakeBeltram.com. Last name is Belt, like around your waist, and a Ram, like the LA Rams or whatever city they're playing in now. And my new startup is at OffyO.net, OFFYO.net. Very rudimentary, very early, but you can see a little bit about what I'm up to there.
What's it like receiving a $2 billion check?
Oh, I didn't receive a $2 billion.
Did you see it? Did you actually see it? Did you? Were you there when it was? Oh, geez, I just got to know.
Surprisingly little of all of that.
But still, in your name, I love it. Well,
Surprisingly little of $2 billion still seems like it might be a bit.
yeah. All right, Guy, how can people connect with you?
Email guy@33n33n.vc. My LinkedIn, I mean, I don't promise to respond to everything on LinkedIn. It's just crazy out there. But you know, email is probably
Gossip Goblin can probably, premium version can probably help you out.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I want to thank you all for being here today. You're amazing guests. Again, come back anytime you want. Brian?
I just want to remind people that we are now officially on YouTube.
We're official.
We want you to go there and watch and subscribe and maybe even tell a friend. I especially want you guys to go back to Israel and spread the word, please, because I was checking our stats and we don't have nearly enough presence in Israel. So we're going to leave that one up to you.
Take care of that.
And I think that's it. Yes, Brian?
Yes, that's it. Thanks
All
you
right,
for
man.
listening. See you all next week. Stay safe. Talk soon.